Welcome back, everybody, to our Menopause series, where today Pieta and I are probing the question: does the hectic combination of a busy life work schedule, brain fog, and life overwhelm send your brain into a spin and leaving you with zero time for yourself? Well, grab yourself a pen, get some paper, because we're about to share our really top tips on how to protect your brain, master some mental clarity at this time, and create self care boundaries with absolute ease, especially during perimenopause and menopause. So many women, so many of our clients tell us that they feel like they are losing their minds during these hormone changes. But the good news is we are not going mad. Our brains, however, are going through a recalibration of sorts, and we'll talk about that. We just need time and support to adjust. So, Pieta, let's dive in. Let's talk about what is actually happening to our brains during this time.
Yes, well, a lot, a lot's happening. Usually, when we're talking about menopause, or when we usually associate menopause with the changes of like our cycle and our ovary function, we're not normally thinking about the brain. But when women say things like they're having hot flashes and night sweats, that insomnia, kind of can't sleep, that waking cycle, the memory lapses, the forgetfulness, depression, anxiety, that difficulty staying focused, that sort of brain fog that we're talking about, the word finding difficulties. I don't know how many times I keep going, what's the word again?
Mm.
Losing train of thought, getting confused easily. These symptoms are actually not necessarily starting in the ovaries, they're also starting in the brain. These are neurological symptoms. We're just not used to thinking about them in that way. So one of the biggest culprits at play here is our female sex hormone, our friend called estrogen, which is not just involved in reproduction, but it's also for brain health. When estrogen levels start fluctuating widely through perimenopause, menopause, and then a drop post-menopause, there is a significant effect on the brain. Take hot flashes, whatever you want to call it, for example. When estrogen doesn't activate the hypothalamus correctly, which is the part of the brain that controls, temperature and heart rate and hunger and things like that, the brain cannot regulate body temperature correctly, and therefore we know there we are, like sweating bucket loads or throwing off the duvet in the night when it's winter. Then we have our sleep disruptions and the changes in our waking cycles. When estrogen doesn't activate the brain stem correctly, we then have trouble sleeping and our sleep patterns can change. Good old friend estrogen. We need it, but we just need to understand it. The waning estrogen can cause changes in our mood too. And I'm sure many of you listening know what that's like. Plus, changes also occur in our hippocampus, that main center of our memory in the brain, which can cause that forgetfulness and brain fog.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, on a serious note, and we're both doing a lot of research into this at the moment, so many studies show that dementia and Alzheimer's starts with negative changes in the brain years prior to any clinical symptoms, before you'd know it. And for women, because the stats are that many, many more women will get dementia than men and do right now, it looks like this process starts during the menopause transition. Yeah. But there's so much we can do. It is not all doomed. Yeah. So we can start to protect the brain when we are, well, we want to say in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. But if you're listening to this today, you can start today. Our whole Menopause series covers exercise, nutrition, sleep, and de stressing protocols, which are also interlinked, inextricably linked, and are super beneficial for improving your brain health right now.
Yep, absolutely. Right now. So here's a quick brain boost summary of the main pillars we can control. The first one is exercise type. Choose to build muscle as the main thing. Like strength training itself helps improve our neural growth patterns, which helps keep the brain young and healthy. So when we lift weights, you stimulate the release of irisin, which is a hormone that crosses that blood-brain barrier and improves the structural health of the brain. I mean, amazing. That's kind of mind-blowing in itself. So like research also shows that improving your strength may improve cognitive function, even if you don't build a ton of muscle. Okay, so exercise type, get out there, guys, strength training, lift some weights. It's never too late. It is never too late. Nutrient-dense nutrition, such as the Mediterranean diet, we hear that a lot, and consuming omega-3 fatty acids like in fish oil, and natural nootropics, things like creatine, theanine, caffeine, and things like ginseng, amazing for the brain. These all have beneficial effects on memory function. Sleep quality. Sometimes we think we can't control this, but there is a lot we can do to help our sleep hygiene, and also improve our sleep quality. During certain periods of sleep, like REM, our learning is consolidated. That is, sleep plays a key role in storing and maintaining what we have learned during the day. So sleep is paramount.
Yeah, God, I spoke to a client yesterday who's getting 4 hours, and it means that, we can't even do taking the trash out. Each day we need to take the trash out of our brain. If you're not taking the trash out through sleeping, oh my goodness me, of course you're going to have brain fog. And that's what happens at night. So we can do things like also practice lots of cognitive exercises, mind gym. I've just dived back into Duolingo and decided I'm going to do 3 languages at the same time. And this keeps our brains fit and sharp. And of course, our social contact, yeah, our social contact, we need that. We are humanity, having fun, laughter, finding our joy, being creative. This is all a really big part in keeping our brains happy, but healthy too. And we do need to put this all into our diary. So if you want to dive more into each of these pillars, then revisit our videos in this series for more info or reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Carrie, given these brain changes we're experiencing, how do we then work with this kind of new brain recalibration that you've mentioned if we're already quite busy working mums, perhaps?
Yeah, and we've just chatted about this before we started. Look, the reality is, and this always seems a really cruel twist to me, that with many of us choosing to have children later in life, and I'm going to say there's a stat also at the moment to show that women who do have kids later in life live longer and healthier into the old age. So that's aside. But we choose to have them later in life, and menopause then hits us right at the most difficult time in respect of what's going on with the rest of our family and the context. Our children also hit their most probably challenging era, that challenging phase of teenage, and our parents are entering into an equally challenging phase of ill health and deterioration, and it switches. They no longer look after us and look after the kids and do all of that. We are then looking after them. Now, not that this is a given, but it is more common than not, and we are seeing this with our clients. So, right at the point that we're struggling to get great sleep, we're navigating brain fog, sweats, debilitating physical conditions at work. We're also wading through relationship changes with our children, supporting them through what, this period is always the most difficult exam phase. Maybe we're experiencing empty nest syndrome. So we've got loss and changes and transition in other ways. And, we are also probably cramming in appointments to take our parents to appointments and help them move through various health issues. So, this is inevitable loss of our estrogen, physically, but maybe also our children and maybe also relationships with parents. So at the point that we need to be taking some time for ourselves, you can hear, it's really difficult. Making yourself number one focus for self-care and drawing boundaries for your own health and being is paramount. We are pulled in so many directions at this time. And we want to say, first of all, to all of you, we hear you and we see you and we feel you when you say that you can't fit this stuff in. So, in our series, we focused on the physical, we focused on the emotional, but we want to acknowledge the mental load you're carrying. What do I mean? It is this overwhelm and overload of things to do, your ability to carry so that it doesn't have a negative effect on your body, what you need to. And it is not an exaggeration to say that most of my clients in menopause feel in complete overwhelm and therefore struggle to think clearly and take purposeful decisions, which we need to. The brain needs us to come into a calm, parasympathetic body in order for the communication around the body to work as it needs to be able to manage our thoughts and emotions, to clear the fog and to focus on what you need to.
Wow. So how exactly do we do that? Like, how do we learn to prioritize ourselves and learn to come into the body in the present moment in order to make appropriate and purposeful decisions? How do we go about that?
Okay, so here's my top 4 tips. And this is about managing your body physiologically. Yes, everything happens and has a physical response. We don't feel depression, actually, most of the time. Most of us aren't moving our body, feeding it the right things, to manage the difficult things that are going on in our lives. So we can tick those boxes first. So, as we've said before, anchor yourself with a self-care routine, including exercise. Then get yourself some sort of a breath work practice. Your breathing communicates the brain to the heart somatically and processes the communication around the body. And a breathwork practice will help you bring the heart rate down, physiological response, gain control of the stress response, often manage sweats, and you'll be in the moment rather than rushing on to the next thing and feeling anxious. Heart math, I have to say, in particular, is evidenced, incredible evidence, to stave off dementia and poor brain health because you're managing heart rate variability. The communication means the emotions don't get stuck at the back of the head. You're able to move them to the frontal cortex. And from there, you make a decision that you won't regret. That's the first thing. Second, put non-negotiables in your diary. You first. I say to all my clients, if you're not sure it's going to happen, schedule it and diarize it. Whether week by week or hour by hour, get your needs, your anchors in there first, and do not move them. They are your non-negotiables. If we don't schedule me time, it won't happen because other priorities, other people will always crowd you out. And cut the guilt around us, yeah? Honestly, Pietra and I hear this all the time. Fill your cup first, because if you don't, you can't support others. You can't support your children. You can't support your parents, your clients' work. And then vitally, get outside first thing in the morning. We need light. We need air. We need to be grounded. And that can be a really good kickoff to be in nature first thing in the day. It's calming. Be that mad woman. My children laugh at me, touching the trees, asking permission to touch the trees, walking barefoot, or invest in a grounding sheet. And then 4, practice intermittent living. What does this mean? We know that we're able to come into calm and again support heart rate variability when we manage our stress response. What helps us manage our stress response? Pieta and I are both massive fans of fasting at this period in life and other periods. Maybe we don't drink and sip water all day long to dilute our gut. Maybe we go to the water hole first in the morning when we're exercising, and then we have a gap. We then make sure that we are going into cold water and then maybe having hot showers. But it's not this constant comfort all day long. This gives us brain fog, this constant comfort. Test your body, put it in and out of different phases.
I love that intermittent living. Wow, Carrie. I hope you all noted that down. And if you didn't, you can come back and just press play again. Amazing. So there you have it, the final piece of our 6-part Menopause video series. If you'd like to grab a free copy of our Hormone Health 101 guide to help you crack on now with making some lifestyle changes today, then do so just by clicking the link below. But last but not least, we are ready to launch. We are looking for some busy women, 40 plus, to help with our launch, be a part of our launch, our 12-week Menopause program. So if you're struggling with challenges that peri and menopause brings you, like the loss of memory, sleep, libido changes, body confidence changes, you're feeling frustrated perhaps with that stubborn weight gain, anxiety, brain fog, stress, and let's say it's impacting also your performance at work and at home, then we want to hear from you. We'll design you a personalized program that combines the core pillars, everything we've talked about in this series, personalized to you to help you build muscle, reduce inflammation in the body, boost that amazing brain of yours, the health of your brain, and also to improve that emotional regulation, and so much more, so much more. This is about reclaiming your whole self back, mind, body, and soul, and shifting you from that surviving to thriving. If this interests you, we would love to hear from you. So please complete the application below and we will be in touch. All right, Carrie, thank you so much again. See you again soon.